The 49ers did not play well. The offense was bad. They lost the turnover battle. And just when you thought all was lost in the game, Mac Jones leads them down the field and Eddie Pinheiro kicks it. And the Niners are still undefeated. What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast, the Instant Reaction Podcast. We are part of the Pro Football Insiders. I'm Rob Stats Guerrero, going to be joined by Levin Black shortly. Your San Francisco 49ers get a last-second field goal by not Jake Moody, by Eddie Pinheiro, and steal a victory from the jaws of defeat and beat the Arizona Cardinals. They remain undefeated, 3-0 on the season, first place in the NFC West. And oh, man, what a game. What a game and what a start to the season for our San Francisco 49ers. Let me welcome in Levin Black to the studio. Levin, stealing victory from the jaws of defeat in a divisional game? It really isn't 2024 anymore.
Repeat after me. 3-0 is 3-0. 3-0 is 3-0. Like, that's what I'm trying to tell myself because, I was pretty much angry that whole game.
It was a very frustrating game, to say the least. But you know what? We're on the right end of it. And look, a lot went wrong for the 49ers in this game. Nick Bosa got injured almost immediately. We still need to await word on that. Michael Williams went to the locker room at one point, was playing hurt with some wrist injuries. Mac Jones was banged up and finished the game with a knee brace, and he really looked like at certain points his mobility was compromised.
Bernardo Green was down at one point.
But they won the game, Levin. The grit that this team has at the end of games, and say what you want. I know the offense wasn't great today, but this is the first time that the offense closed the game out. The defense got a key stop. Upton Stout with a massive pass breakup on third down, which was, look, the Cardinals made a couple of questionable decisions that we can get into in this game. Defense made the stop. The offense was pinned deep in their own territory, and they drive down the field, and Mac Jones looked extremely efficient, and they get the game-winning field goal thanks to Eddie Pinheiro.
Yeah, this was a game the defense 100% won this game. They were the reason this was a game at all. But the offense made the drive they needed in the end. Now, they were making the drive 2 drives prior when an interception was thrown. They were in field goal range and moving the ball. But this is a game that I think there is a lot of bad film. There's a lot of things that went wrong in this game. But the effect a win like this has, it shows a team that, hey, we can play like crap on one side of the ball and still make the difference to win the game on that side of the ball even. Like, I feel like in terms of a confidence boost, there's the confidence boost that comes from blowing a team out. Like the Seahawks have a confidence boost today because they destroyed the Saints.
Yep.
I feel like in terms of lasting effect, a game like this has a bigger lasting effect because it's one that it's not just, hey, everything went right, our game plan was awesome, the opponent sucked. It's we sucked, but we came together as a group. And I feel like this is one that has the lasting effect of team bonding. The team comes together.
They do not win this game last year. No question about it. When that safety happens, they would go in the tank. The defense wouldn't get the stop last year to even give the offense another chance to have the ball. We got a lot of comments here I want to get to, but we got to start with Maxine, who says, kicker update. Kicker update. Eddie Pinheiro is a hell of a lot better than Jake Moody. And thank God they made that move, and it paid off big time. He made a field goal at the end of the first half as well, which Jake Moody had no shot to make. That gave the Niners a 6-3 lead going into halftime that they had no business having, but they executed in critical key spots, and they ended up with a 6-3 halftime lead. And obviously he makes the kick at the end of the game as well. There's no way they win this game last year.
No. And I think winning a game with a game-winning kick at the end was summed up best by my 5-year-old immediately before the kick. Because I explained to her, like, they got to make a kick. If they make it, they win. If they miss it, they lose. And she goes, oh, no, we could win or we could lose. Yeah. You think she has a very literal father?
Khan, JKJ, YouTube channel member, thank you for the super chats. I'm starting to believe in this defensive secondary. Starting to believe in this defense, secondary a little iffy, though. They really only had the one bad possession. The Niners scored the touchdown on the touchdown pass to Juice, and that was really the only bad defensive possession for Saleh. Otherwise, they stood on their head all game, but the Cardinals went right down the field. They had a blown coverage to Marvin Harrison Jr., then they had the PI in the end zone where Bernardo Green did his best Ambry Thomas impression, which is, oh no, I'm beat. Let me just mug the wide receiver. It was so bad they called a flag on him and his guy wasn't even the intended target of the pass. But other than that one series, the defense was incredible today without their best player.
This is that drive. I don't feel like it was necessarily blown coverages. It was Arizona figuring something out in the Niners defense, in my opinion. I think they figured out that if you send somebody deep on one side of the field, and then you have crossers, both short and deep, coming from the other side of the field, what happens is Fred Warner is uber aggressive on both of the times that they blew coverages, the one that was dropped by Marvin Harrison and then the one that was caught. Fred Warner goes sprinting up on the underneath crosser, and that created a void because the safety has been cleared out by the guy going deep. And so it just created a void, and I believe that it's a flaw of the defensive play call that they'll probably have to figure out, hey, when this happens, like Fred Warner, you can't jump on that underneath. You need to stay deep, because that's what it looked like to me. Like the safety in the corner went with the deep route. That's what you want.
Yeah.
But that means the linebacker needs to sink and get depth, and he wasn't doing it.
We'll see if it becomes an issue all year. Look, the Niners got lucky a couple times in this game. There were some bad Cardinals drops. Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide open for like a 30-yard play. He dropped the pass. A couple running backs dropped a pass. I don't mean it to sound like this, but James Conner's injury, which was disgusting, was a massive injury for the Cardinals because the 49ers can never tackle that dude, and they weren't tackling him. And that, I think, changed the offensive game plan a little bit for the Cardinals. Chris Waddell says, sign that man to a 15-year contract extension. Side note, the refs tried really hard to make us lose this. I don't remember having that much of a beef with the officiating in the game, 11. Was there something to you that stood out? Because, I
texted you about one. I think the defensive pass interference wasn't a great call. The one that in the end zone with Arizona then scored on.
Oh, I thought it was. He mauled him.
The ball wasn't thrown to him.
So what? You could still interfere.
I didn't like that call. I didn't get a chance to rewind it.
Yeah.
And it could be I just missed it, but I didn't see the hold in the end zone. Pooney definitely got beat, but then Pooney was like trying to engage, but then not engaging. So where was the actual hold?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the refs anticipating, because the defender fell down, but the defender fell down trying to get on his own, trying to get Mac Jones. And so I wonder if that was the ref thinking that Pooney did something and he didn't, or if it came right at the start of the play. But then my question is, if it came right at the start of the play, it's not in the end zone, is it not? Like that's what I wanted to see that. And maybe, I'm sure we'll find out here soon enough. We'll probably go look on our own, but certainly Thursday, you're going to break that down with Johnny Dell. But that was the one thing that I did not see that I was like, man, that's a big call. Pooney definitely wasn't doing it like after Mac was scrambling around. He didn't touch the guy.
Yeah.
So it had to have been at the start of the play.
He got beat, but I don't know. I would like to see it again. But either way, Mac's got to get rid of that ball. You can't hold on to the ball that long in the end zone, dude. Tony, YouTube channel member, thanks for the super chat, says Ricky P, LFG. How about Pearsall? Twice in 3 games this year, when the 49ers were in a gotta-have-it drive and need a play, Ricky Pearsall has not only made a play, he's made a 40-yard play. This one on 4th down, Mac Jones launches it up. The ball actually hits Ricky Pearsall's helmet, and he catches it anyway and goes out of bounds. 8 grabs for Pearsall today for 117 yards on 11 targets. Is he overdrafted now? The man is a stud. He's a stud. Just admit it, people. He's awesome.
That is the biggest takeaway I had, and I didn't know when we were going to get to him, but the biggest long-term takeaway I have from this game is Ricky Pearsall is the number one receiver. Yeah. I don't think he's elite. He's not quite in that top 10 receiver list, but he's in the next group. You know what I mean? I think he's legitimately a top 25 receiver in the league. And there's some statistics to back that up. I mean, not only does he have, I think it's 286 yards on the season. He's on pace for just under 1,600 yards on the season. But you remember 2 years ago, Brandon Ayuk had one of the most efficient seasons in NFL history. He averaged 12.8 yards per reception, or per target. 12.8 yards per target. I think it was top 10 all time.
Yeah.
Ricky Pearsall, I didn't recalculate after he got that last target that was just thrown into the ground by Mac Jones on that final drive when there's nothing there. So it changes a little bit. But prior to that target, he was averaging 12.77 yards per target this season. Right there with Brandon Ayuk's historic season.
Not bad. Not bad. Rodog 228 says Cardinals had a player wide open too many times. They just can't catch. Yeah, they missed some guys. You know what? The Niners had some guys open too. If you follow Rich Madrid on Twitter, I think it was Rich, was mentioning the guys that Mac Jones was missing on certain plays that were open. You know what? It was imperfect on both sides. I'm never going to apologize for a win, man. What have I said? They need 10 to get to the playoffs, and they got 3 already and 2 in the division. That's incredible. Could it be better? Yup. Great. I'll learn from wins. I would much rather learn from a win.
Yeah, this is best case scenario for the start of the season. Despite all of the injuries, they are 3-0. Now, what is Nick Bosa's injury? Because so far the injuries haven't been season ending. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You have one more week and you could be at full strength. I think Ayuk will probably take another week, but by week 6, you could have Kittle back. You could have Ayuk back. You're going to have Purdy back probably this next game. You're going to be at essentially full strength pending Nick Bosa's injury. Now, it's a little concerning that he was ruled out. And, let's not forget that Brock Purdy got injured, finished a game, and now has missed 2 games. So what happens with Michael Williams after the game? What happens with Renardo Green and the other guys that got banged up? You know what I mean? But this is exactly where they needed to be. They have breathing room now. They have the ability to absorb some kind of bad loss. You know, they can lose to the Rams, for instance, on Thursday night in a week and a half and be just fine if they take care of business against the Jaguars. You know, that they would be 4-1. They'll be just fine. If you told me they'd be 4-1, I would have taken it no matter who they lost to. If you told me they were 3-2, that's what I wanted. Starting the first 5 games, I wanted 3-2. Anything past that, what was gravy. If they could get to 3-2, they have some confidence. They've shown they can win. They're above 500, and now that really easy schedule starts to take an effect.
Nick R., YouTube channel member, says, "Get our health together. We could do it. We are hungry." Now, I just want to say, I don't know what the Bosa injury is. So obviously that's a massive, massive thing. We'll have to see. I
didn't like the look of it. I'll say that. I don't want to speculate, but the look of it was one that's very concerning.
So I know Kyle's going to speak pretty soon. We'll see. That's a major one for sure. And we'll see ultimately how it all works out. I got another thought on that that I want to make. But first, just want to give a shout out to Sleeper. Thanks so much to Sleeper for hopping on board this year. We've been making the picks. We have been killing the picks so far this season. Unfortunately, today, thanks to a very, very strange first half where the offense was pretty much non-existent, I think our picks took a little bit of a hit today. Christian McCaffrey, anytime touchdown, did not hit. We did. Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry about that. Yeah, that one. Christian McCaffrey, more than 110 yards from scrimmage. I think he got that, right?
He did, yeah. He had 112 before the final drive, and he had that 30-yard or whatever.
Yep. James Conner over 15.5 receiving yards. He had 15 receiving yards in the game, so that is a bummer. Kyler Murray, less than 220.5 passing yards. Correct. Michelle nailed that one. And I had Christian McCaffrey more than 36.5 receiving yards. And, so we got 2 wrong on the day. That's not bad. That would put our season total to, what do we have? 6. We got 2 wrong. For 16 and 17. No, that can't be right.
No. Yeah,
16 of 19. 16 of 19. So there you go.
16 of 19. Okay.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
On the year.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
listen to us when we make the picks, please and thank you. And if you follow along and use Sleeper, you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Just pick more or less on all the stats they have, like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards. You get your picks right, you can win big. So use our promo code GSP and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. So check out Sleeper today. The Bosa thing was scary because of the thumbs down. That was the part that really, he gets out of the meeting with the coaches and he goes immediately to thumbs down. And you're just like, oh God,
I just didn't like, it was a knee buckle that he didn't go down on. And then he's walking around, but he's limping. Like he walked himself off the field. That's usually not a good sign in terms of your CL type of things in your body.
Hey, Marin, YouTube channel member, says, apart from Bosa, this was so ugly. It was beautiful. The Niners have been winning their clunker so far this year, man. And look, with Mac Jones in, every game kind of turns into a clunker a little bit, but they have been finding a way to grind it out. And not every team does. Obviously, Arizona didn't today. Great. Now we just sit and wait and see and hope and pray. If anybody in the chat knows what the injury is, or you see Kyle comment on it, let me know, please, and thank you. This super chat from Andre. Thank you so much, Andre. That's very generous. Says, without Salah, Kyle is on the hot seat. His offense and game planning never changes. You cannot build a game plan for 2 players. Where are the 2 running back sets, 4 out of 4 or 5 wide receiver sets? Gronk said it. Arizona stacked the box because they know it's all Christian McCaffrey. I mean, this was not a good offensive game by any stretch of the imagination. But I will say this for Kyle Shanahan, Levin. Was he replaced by a pod person? They went for it on 4th down multiple times. Now, the first one they didn't get, I didn't really like that play call on 4th down, and they had trouble getting it in. So I thought maybe they should have called a timeout. But you know what? They needed the timeout. So maybe it ended up needing it in the end. He had a brilliant drive before halftime. They kicked the field goal. He went for it on 4th down multiple times. The Pearsall play is a 4th down play. And that final drive that he called was beautiful. I think Mac Jones threw incomplete on the first play, and then they went right down the field. I loved the screen call to McCaffrey that set him up, really, that took him from like long field goal range to close field goal range. It was the last like real play from scrimmage that they ran. Got him wide ass open. I thought Kyle Shanahan had a beautiful situational day. And you know I've been killing him in those. I thought he handled it perfectly. The clock management on the final possession, when to use the timeouts, when to not use the timeouts, I thought he crushed it. No notes today, Kyle.
The 4th and 1 on the goal line, did not like that play call. Like, to me, when it was 3rd and 1 on the goal line, you run twice up the gut with Christian McCaffrey. And if he can't score, given 2 chances to find the slimmest of holes to get in the end zone, then you'll live with that. But they tried to run to the outside, and then they tried the pseudo screen pass, I guess. I don't know what you want to call it, when Christian McCaffrey got blown up before he could make the reception. I did not like those play calls. There were quite a few play calls I didn't really care for in the game, like especially when it looked like the Niners were going to lose. What happened was they finally got the run game going. They had 27 yards on 4 carries. And then they went pass, which was an interception. They get the ball back and they go pass incomplete, pass safety. Like, you just started being able to run the ball, and then you do 3 straight passes that the result is a safety and a turnover. Like, I did not understand that sequence of play calls, but I try to remind myself, and I found myself multiple times getting really angry with Kyle Shanahan and then having to remind myself, he's literally playing with a backup quarterback. And do you blame Zach Taylor for Jake Browning looking like crap for Cincinnati today? No, because it's a backup quarterback. So as long as the offense does something with a backup quarterback, you kind of give head coaches the pass when it's a backup quarterback. And I don't think we necessarily do that with Kyle Shanahan and the backup quarterbacks, but at the same time, you should. I mean, backup quarterbacks are backup for a reason. I'll say this. I do not see a starter out of Mac Jones.
No. Can you imagine if they use the 3rd overall pick on that guy? Damn. They're not just a backup quarterback, a backup left guard. Your wide receivers are Ricky Pearsall and a pile of bones out there. I mean, Kendrick Bourne is out there. No Juwan Jennings today. Sky Moore caught a pass on the final drive. How about that? Sky Moore getting on the field. That's how you knew they were desperate. By the way, Kevin Jones, thanks for the super chat, says Levin's mic is either off or it sounds terrible. Doesn't sound terrible to me. And trust
that
me.
was at the very beginning of the show, and I think I was yelling and I was too close.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I'm a little behind on the super chats. I apologize. D-Ware 5883. I love this. Was nervous with all the blocked field goals today across the NFL. Can we start getting people healthy for a change? Pearsall game ball for me. All the blocked field goals in the league today, Levin. The 49ers had no field goal problems today. Just say that out loud. I mean, first of all, the way the last 10 minutes before the 49ers game started was incredible for them today because the Eagles, or the Rams, I should say, blew a massive lead to the Eagles. Yeah. Philly blocks 2 straight field goals to get the win. And then the Browns blocked the Packers field goal to get the win. 2 massive losses in the NFC. And now the 49ers win. This was a great day. Again, barring the Bosa injury, a great day.
Yeah, the Niners are 3-0. They're alone in first place in the NFC West. And obviously, because they're undefeated, they're also tied for the number 1 seed. The NFC West, by the way, is the Niners are 3-0, and the other 3 teams are 2-1. Like, the NFC West does not look as weak as you would have thought.
It's the best division in the NFL right now. I said before the year, it's the second best coach division in the NFL, too. The AFC West is the best because you have Andy Reid, pile of Super Bowl rings, Pete Carroll, Super Bowl ring, Sean Payton, Super Bowl ring, and Pete Carroll.
Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh. Yeah. No Super Bowl ring, but a Super Bowl appearance. So the NFC West is the second best coach. Dallas E says, I was asking my son, who I watch every game with, where are the screens? They broke it out on the last drive. Perfect timing. Again, I thought Kyle Shanahan, in the critical moments and the critical elements of the game, he was perfect today. And you could say the offensive game plan wasn't good, and I was frustrated with it too, and that's fine. Usually it's the reverse, though, with Kyle. Usually the offense is picking up thousands of yards, and the critical game management, he screws up. That was not the case today. So I want to give him a game ball today for sure. Let me get to some of the other super chats because I want to make sure I get it. Let's see. Gabe Pearsall is him. Salah is a difference maker. Kyle is shaking off the fourth quarter stigma. 3-0 and 2-0 division with an all ICU team is huge. How about this note from Josh Dubow? The 49ers were 3-29 under Kyle Shanahan when starting a drive in the final 2 minutes down by a score, including playoffs. 3-29 before the Mac Jones drive today. Week 18, 2021, they did it with the Rams. Week 14, 2019 against the Saints. And week 15, 2017 against the Titans. And all of those are with Garoppolo at quarterback. So Mac Jones, man, and the 2-minute drives at the end of the half and the end of the game, he nailed it.
Yeah. So let's talk about Mac Jones. What I see out of him is the ideal backup. And I don't mean that as a knock. I mean that somebody that can come in and in spurts give you starting numbers. Like the last 2 games, like he hasn't been terrible. But what I see is he's somebody that gets through 1, 2 reads, and then that's it. And he can't make any magic happen when the play breaks down. He doesn't get to his 3rd read. He's not, scrambling around, making, ad-libbing something happening. It is 1st, 2nd read. He will make the right choice if it's within the 1st, 2nd read. If it's not there, that's when the trouble happens. And he's going to have a really dumb throw that ends up in a turnover pretty much every game. Like I texted you when he threw the interception, return to the Mac, because that's what he does. Like he makes this really dumb throw that you don't understand. Like I don't understand what he was throwing to. Like 1, it was horribly inaccurate. 2, like there's 3 defenders there. Like they're going to break on that ball. So even if it was thrown accurately, I don't think it had any chance of being completed. I just don't understand what he was seeing.
Yeah.
But most of the time, he can operate the offense, and if something is there, he'll get it. And that's all you can ask for out of a backup. What you ask for out of the backup is mostly don't screw it up, meaning don't turn the ball over a bunch of times, and then get the obvious plays. And that's what he does.
I want to get to this. Actually, let me read it real quick. Alejandro says, I'm ecstatic for the W, but these injuries are going to take a toll. Pretty sure Brock will be back next week. They pretty much said that with Mac's injury. Ricky Pearsall, everybody's extremely excited for Ricky Pearsall, as they should be. Update on Nick Bosa has a knee injury, but it is not, I repeat, not an ACL injury. Kyle Shanahan said they don't have a diagnosis yet. He's going to get more tests tomorrow, but the ACL checked out. So he doesn't have an ACL injury. He also left the locker room wearing a sleeve on his leg. No crutches for Nick Bosa. So that is, at this point, probably as good as we could expect. We knew he had a knee injury, obviously, but the fact that it's not an ACL, he's not on crutches, that is good news. Maybe not the best possible news, but again, we can exhale at least a little bit. It's not the worst case scenario. And let's face it, with injuries in this team, that's oftentimes what we're looking at.
I mean, without how quickly he was ruled out. I mean, he was ruled out essentially at halftime is when they knew, but like it was obvious before halftime he was not going back in, like you said, and showed it earlier. He did the thumbs down. You knew he wasn't coming back in this game. For somebody to be ruled out before halftime with a knee injury, the chances of them playing next week is slim to none.
Yeah.
So I think you're looking when that happens at best case scenario being 2 weeks generally. So it seems like it's probably a sprain or maybe a hyperextended knee to where you're probably in that 2 to 4 week window. And based on what we saw and what happened, that's exactly what you should be hoping for. If you came away from this game hoping like, well, maybe Bosa can shake it off and play next week, then you were being delusional. Like you're hoping for 2 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, let's just wait and see. But again, no ACL injury for Nick Bosa, so that is good. Chris Waddell says, at best, interference is defensive holding. Also, the safety was 100% not holding, and we got 4 offensive line holds today. They got 0, simply impossible. It was not
their first penalty was that final drive
on the offensive line, or no? You're saying the Cardinals?
Yeah. At least that's what the announcer said. I didn't double check in the box score because it was the end of the game. I wasn't pulling out my phone, but they said that was the first penalty on the Cardinals all game.
First defensive penalty.
Okay. I missed that part.
Yeah. Lettuce 49, best time management ever by Kyle. I said it earlier. Absolutely. I wish I saw the super chat earlier. I would have had a beautiful segue for you, but there's almost 2,000 people watching right now. Thank you so much to everybody watching. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. We do this after every Niners game. We're live every single weekday. If you've never checked us out, we're live on the YouTube channel every single weekday. We also do a 5-minute news update on the audio side because this is available as an audio podcast as well called 49ers in 5. So please give us a chance this season. I promise you'll come back for more. Joseph Faccio says, all praise to Salah. I mean, even with no Bosa in this game, Levin, the defense gave up 13 points. And they tried to do some plays with Kyler Murray where he was, he'd be running around and he had 37 yards rushing, but they hemmed him in for the most part. This defense has been incredible through 3 weeks of the year.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one part that I did find frustrating. There were some plays, especially like that final drive that Arizona was on, that they ended up getting shut down, thankfully. But the DB came on an outside blitz and let Murray run to the outside of him. Like, what are you doing? That's the one thing you can't allow. But that was like, all right, he got like an 8-yard scramble. That was the most frustrated I found myself with the defense, was just because they did that. Or, when Bosa was still in, there was that early play where Williams went on a stunt. Like Bosa and Williams are both on the right side of the defensive line. Williams went on a stunt to went to the inside, and Bosa did a pass rush to try to get to the inside. It's like, no. If you're doing a stunt, Bosa, you have to stay to the outside. It's Kyler Murray. But those weren't back-breaking plays. They didn't get some, 30, 40-yard play out of it. They weren't converting a 3rd and 12 because Murray was able to scramble. It was Murray got 5 yards on first down because of that, or he got, 8 yards on second down. It was small little mistakes that didn't kill them. And on the big things, they did everything you could ask for.
Tremendous. Fred Warner's playing at a tremendous level. I thought Michael Williams, even injured, came back and was freaking phenomenal in the game. How many runs did the Cardinals have that were stuffed right up the middle? That was a huge problem for us last year. Big improvement there. Okay, I'm behind on the super chat, so I apologize. Let's try to get to some. Lettuce 49 says, Rob, you called the Cardinals win. Have you owned up? LOL. By the way, weeks 1 and 2 let me feel confident it wasn't over. Good sign. I did pick the Cardinals to win the game. I was wrong, clearly. I mean, I don't have to admit it. The reality tells you I was wrong. I was very close to being right, but no, I was wrong. It won't be the last time I get a game pick wrong. I'll tell you that.
It was, yeah, it was as ugly of a win as you can get, but a win is a win. And like I said, 3-0 is 3-0. So I'm doing my best to not sit here and be my normal complaining self.
That's right. Good. If we can't celebrate an hour after the game ends, damn. Perfect Blackness Senior says Saleh has proven his worth. Keep him at all costs, but Shanny's run blocking philosophy requires open scrutiny. Whatever it isn't sustainable.
Okay.
First of all, the Cardinals have a good front seven. Like, I want to acknowledge that. But no, they couldn't run the ball at all. Christian McCaffrey averaged 3 yards a carry. The longest run of the day was 15 yards. Brian Robinson had a 19-yard run. That was very nice. It was actually on a toss play, which you and I are texting each other, MFing the toss plays because we hate them, the tosses to the outside. But that one worked. But for the most part, that's why the offense bogged down, because they could not run the ball. And it was just Mac Jones throwing to Ricky Pearsall and Christian McCaffrey all game.
So I got a theory, and it is only a theory at this point because I haven't noticed anything. It's hard to tell from a broadcast angle for starters, but they can't run the ball inside because they're facing 8-9-man boxes. That's the simple fact.
Yeah.
And they don't have quite the offensive line of pushing forward that they used to. But on the outside plays, I think somebody must be tipping because the defense knows pre-snap what is happening. If you watch those plays, and I've seen it 2 weeks in a row, when they try to run to the outside to the right, the defensive linebackers are sprinting right at the snap, right to it. Like they know it's coming. So I think somebody is tipping on the offensive line that they're needing to pull. That would be my best guess, is it's the person who needs to pull is tipping that they're about to try. And it certainly seems like the defenses know when they're going to try to catch the edge on a run play, and they're blowing them up. And I really wish we could find that. Like, I feel like that's going to be something that comes out weeks later into the season when they fixed it. They're going to be like, yeah, we figured out this person was kind of like when they needed to pull, they were setting up slightly different.
Those little things like that are giveaways all the time. So that could definitely be an issue. We'll have to wait and see. Don't like this update, Levin. Kyle Shanahan clarified that the initial sideline testing did not definitively point to a serious ACL injury, but it hasn't been ruled out as a possibility. So remember all that stuff I said about it's not the worst case scenario? Throw that out the friggin' door, because
it means he hasn't had his test yet, but where he has pain is in that area.
Well, they can do a test on the sideline to see if it's
broke, but not if it's a sprain.
Right. I mean, yeah, if it's
torn, I should say, not broke, but
I know what you meant. Technically, it is broken.
I mean,
so sure. We'll have to wait and see. That's frustrating, though. Sean Turner says Upton Stout's game-saving pass breakup. I was watching that play. It's third down. They throw it to him. I see him catch it, and I'm like, oh, I don't see the ball. And then he lands, and the ball comes out, and I was like, oh, my God. Upton, man, all these like little plays are just opportunities for these guys to grow and get experience. I absolutely loved it. Big play. He's had some gaffes so far, but that was a big one for Upton.
Yeah, it was a big play. The defense and honestly the Cardinals receivers kind of helped them. Like, I mean, we can go there. Marvin Harrison.
He stinks.
I wouldn't want him on my team. It's not just that he's not playing well. He doesn't care. And I think that showed right from the draft when like he played this game of refusing to let his jersey be sold and all this crap. Like, dude, you crowned yourself before you even took a snap. Like, Tom Brady never fought having his jersey sold. You get paid when your jersey is sold. Players get a small cut of that. Like, what are you doing? It just, from the very start, I think he was full of himself. And I think he looks like a Nepo baby out there, put it that way. Somebody that is there that just doesn't care to put in the effort.
Certainly wasn't the best game by him. And the fact that he and Kyler can't get on the same page would be super concerning to me. If
it's beautiful for us, but
right. If I were a Cardinals fan, I'd be very upset about it. As a Niner fan, sleeping like a baby tonight. Adam K says no excuses. Kyle nearly handed this game away more than once. Saleh and the defense were the real MVP. I totally disagree. I thought Kyle had a brilliant game. mean, you might not like the call on fourth down, or maybe you don't like the fact that he went for it. I think
it was those 3 play calls where I was thinking Kyle screwed this game up. The run was finally working, and you went pass, and Mac throws an interception. So what do you do after? You go, I'm going to keep passing right next to my end zone. Like, no, like your run game finally started working. You don't throw again with the guy that just threw an interception in the end zone, who has no mobility to begin with.
You could say
3-play stretch almost cost them the game.
Or you could say your quarterback's got to get rid of the damn ball in the end. I mean, both quarterbacks made stupid plays in the end zone. What the hell was Kyler Murray doing? The Niners have him pinned back. He's like dodging guys left, right, and center. And they got so freaking lucky that they didn't get a safety. I did not know. 40 years old today, I learned that not only does your entire body have to be in the end zone when you get an intentional grounding in the end zone for a safety, but the ball itself also has to be in the end zone. I had no idea that was the case. I've never seen it before where you had one of those things, but not the other. But Kyler never should have held on to the ball that long. So both quarterbacks made stupid decisions in the end zone.
Well, I mean, you've seen it the other way. That has happened quite a bit where the quarterback's getting hit and he's in the end zone, but he had like a toe that was outside of the end zone. That goes out. That's not a safety. That goes to where his toe is. Like, we've seen the body part of it. Having the body fully in the end zone, but half a football out of the end zone, I'm not sure I've seen that part before, but I was aware of the rule because the ball is the part that most people understand. It's the end zone. It works the same on both ends of the field. The ball is, if it's out of the end zone, it's out of the end zone. If it's in the end zone, it's in the end zone, whether it's touchdown, safety. But then safety adds in the body also has to be in the end zone.
100%. Joe says, one of the most excruciating games I've seen the boys play. Now celebrate it. Here's to you, gents. The Bosa thing, I feel super scary about it. But other than that, I just feel so fortunate.
Yeah, I did text Rob in the third quarter saying top 5 most boring games. The fourth quarter changed that. I don't think it's top 5 anymore. But the fourth quarter was very exciting. But like the first 3 quarters, the first quarter, you could write out of this game and nothing changes. No points. Nothing happened. It was so frustrating. The way this game went for the first 2.5 quarters, I would say, is the Cardinals get the ball and they go, here's 2 yards, here's 3 yards, here's 4 yards, here's 2 yards for a first down, here's 3 yards again, here's 4 yards, here's 5 yards. Oh, now we're gonna punt. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna have a 5-minute drive, but only get 30 yards on the 5-minute drive because they're just getting 2 to 4 yards every single time, which makes for an extremely boring game.
Yeah, it was like the only thing that they were doing, Arizona, was converting on third down. It was like the maximum amount of time that they could take possession-wise. The 49ers, I think, had, before the 2-minute warning in the first half, I think the 49ers had run 6 plays. It was pathetic. It was just a pathetic offense in the first quarter. Luckily, it changed. In fact, you mentioned the fourth quarter, 11. Niners outscored Arizona 10-9 in that quarter. Third straight game, the 49ers have outscored their opponent in the fourth quarter. Just keep that in mind, because this is a team that got outscored by 77 points in the fourth quarter last season. So again, just another indication it's a new year, that maybe they've corrected some of these issues, and let's hope it continues. Alejandro says the weirdest stat I've seen is the Niners O-line has been a top 10 pass blocking O-line in the NFL and a really bad run blocking O-line, opposite of the pass. That's true. Usually they'll have guys on the line that aren't really that great at pass blocking, but are really good at run blocking, aka McGlinchey, Mike. But this year, they've actually been better at pass blocking.
And I do, like I said, I wonder, because if they're tipping run versus pass, that helps shut down the run, especially when you're already stacking the box. But the stacking the box isn't anything new. So that's not the reason. Something else has changed. The Niners have faced the most stacked boxes of any team 6 years in a row. So it's not anything that's going to lead to, the run game suddenly doesn't work. It's either the players have suddenly regressed in a big way when it comes to run blocking, which is possible. Like Trent Williams not being suddenly a dominant player, run blocking does change things. Like, they got a lot of yards going to the left in the past, and they're not doing that right now. But I feel like it has to be something else too. Either defense has figured something out or somebody is tipping plays.
Hopefully they can get it fixed, because if this offense can start running the ball and they can start getting some guys healthy, Ayuk possibly coming back and Pearsall stays out there and Kittle coming back, We might really have something here. And Ryan Sandberg points out the Niners ended up with 355 total yards on the day, which is more than the Cardinals had 260. So the Niners almost had 100 more yards of offense than the Cardinals. It's crazy that they rolled up that many because at halftime, I think the Niners had 119 total yards. So they went
halfway through the second. Sorry, they had even less because it was halfway through the second quarter. They had 2 3-and-outs, and that was it because the Cardinals had like 36-minute drives that resulted in virtually nothing.
Yeah, nothing at all, actually. It was great to see.
I think they had a field goal at that point. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think they had a field goal at that point. But halfway, it was like 9 minutes left in the second quarter. The Niners had like 12 total yards.
It's really weird how this flipped. So the first 3 quarters, every Cardinals drive was like 10 plays, 12 plays. Here's the fourth quarter for the Cardinals. 3 plays, minus 1 yard punt. 4 plays, 65 yards, touchdown for Arizona. 3 plays, 5 yards, punt. 5 plays, 15 yards, punt. So they went from a little bit of yards, but a ton of plays in the first half to no plays practically in the second half, but gaining more yards in some instances. It was just a really weird, like, tale of two halves, as they say. Hakeem the Dream says, let's all donate for a new strength and conditioning coach. Mac Jones is Alex Smith's super duper light. Well, Alex was 50 times more mobile than Mac Jones.
I was going to say, Alex Smith had the scrambling ability.
Yeah. John Brown, Upton with a huge pass breakup. Hakeem the Dream, Alex Smith would have been the perfect quarterback in Kyle's system. Would you give up a 3rd-round pick for Tyreek Hill? No, I don't like Tyreek Hill.
They could trade us a 3rd-round pick, and I wouldn't.
Thank you.
There is zero. Like, I don't know if I would accept any draft pick and take Tyreek Hill unless it was, all right, we're going to give you a first, and the Niners are going to tell Tyreek Hill, you stay over there. You're not going to suit up for any of the games.
And just the way the season ended last year with Miami and him being like, well, I'm out of here. And then now he's not traded and back, and it's ugly.
It's not even that. Like, I know we're Niner fans, but there's been reports from some of the national insiders saying that, like, the locker room wants Tyreek Hill out. They can't stand him.
Right. And I have no idea if that's true, but nothing's going right in Miami. Chris Waddell says, I was talking about that earlier with a friend all season. Teams have been uber aggressive against the run. So he's agreeing with what you were saying, Levin. Could it be Big Trent giving it away again? Remember then when that was?
I had forgotten about that, actually. So that's a good point. Maybe he is. Maybe with, like, being dinged up with the ankle and other things and just age, he's being forced to kind of cheat. Yeah, essentially.
Benjamin says, just because you guys are great, here's $5. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate that. Although he texted me and was saying, oh, your picks with Michelle are going to be bad this week. Well, we were really good this week, Benjamin. So how dare you? Lettuce49 says Sky Moore had no business fielding that punt late. How about the fact that Sky Moore deked the Cardinals on the final punt of the game? He said he was going to return it, and then they slowed up, and then the punt ended up going into the end zone. That was a veteran move from him.
Yeah, I think the one that he's talking about there is the one that he fair caught on, like, the 5-yard line.
That was the one before, I think.
Yeah, it's should he have done it? No, but it was one of those things where he waves for the fair catch at the 12-yard line, and then while he's busy concentrating on catching, he doesn't realize that he went backwards 5-6 yards. You know what I mean? Like, you see that from time to time.
He did another thing in this game, which I don't like. He called a fair catch. He let the punt bounce, and then he went to go touch it. If you're going to call a fair catch and let it bounce, just get the hell away from it, because you never know which direction that thing is bouncing. And if it touches you, it's a fumble. So, like, just get away from it. So I didn't like that, but that deke at the end was good. Joe says, through 3 quarters, this game was giving me Sean Hill vibes. Mac is better than that, but still, I don't want it.
No, that's a decent comparison there, Sean Hill.
Number 13, too, right? Didn't he wear 13? Yeah. Like Mac? Yeah. That's true.
That is a pretty good, like, mobility is not there. A little awkward when he's moving, but he can throw the ball. So when things are there, he makes big. I mean, Sean Hill had some tremendous throws to where, like, there was a while there where there was a debate that he was going to be the franchise quarterback because he would make these amazing throws.
I don't know.
It was just like everything in between. I remember I was on message boards back in those days, but
you got receipts somewhere?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably on 49ers Web Zone, because that's where I was back in those days, I think. But it was he would make an amazing throw, and he was somebody that wasn't scared to make those throws, so he would have a good bit of them. The problem is he would also have 3 interceptions, and he would have like 50% completed because he was constantly throwing jump balls deep. Like, that is a decent comparison for Mac Jones in terms of it's a guy that can make the throw, but he's very limited. And if it's not there, you're worrying about a turnover.
John Wallace says, absolute shout out to Mac Jones for the final drive. He stayed in there like Purdy did. Good job from the backup quarterback. Yeah, Mac was clearly hurting. You could tell on the possession where they turned it over on downs in the red zone. Mac tried to hand it off to Christian McCaffrey, and he could barely get the ball to Christian on the outside stretch run because he could not really move. So he toughed it out. 2 of the 3 games we've had a quarterback tough out an injury and lead a comeback drive at the end of the game.
I mean, it's the end of games have come up roses. Like, there's been a little luck involved, and there's been a lot of grit and determination that we did not see in years past. This is a team that you can tell is younger, has some young players that are out to prove themselves.
Yep.
It is not a team, and I think this is what the problem was in years past. They had a couple of years where they were the bully on the block and they came through, and so they just always assumed, when we need to, we'll turn it on. And that's a big time mistake. That's when you know it's over. When a team starts taking things for granted and saying we'll turn it on when we need to. We literally heard veterans saying that when they were 1-3 to start a season, like multiple years during the run, where they were like, we're not worried, we can turn it around. Like, no, start it right so that you have the room for error in the middle of the season if you need it.
I will say this, Levin, just based on how the first 3 weeks have gone. If you are facing the 49ers and the game is close and it's getting late in the fourth quarter, are we now at a point where the other team is starting to think, hey, we got to do something here because these guys have a way of finishing these games?
To an extent, I mean, I think a big part of that is that pass rush. Like, 2 of the games have been closed out by the pass rush getting home. Like, Huff had a really good game in this game. Like, even after Bosa went out, Huff was making an effect. He didn't end up getting home. I don't think he ended up getting a sack. I could be wrong, but he had a lot of times where he was hurrying Kyler Murray or forcing Kyler Murray off his spot. Huff was wrecking on the left side of the line many times, and it wasn't just the pass. I mean, a lot of the run plays, the tackle was going to the defensive tackle coming through, and we saw that multiple times when they were running to the right. But Huff was the one that was getting to the outside and forcing the running back to not be able to break outside to avoid the defensive tackle. Huff had a great game. Michael Williams had a great game. Obviously, if Bosa can come back, like, they do have this, I think, fearsome front four for closing out games when the other team is going to be passing. I think that's where it's when the 49ers defense gets to know, all right, they are going to be passing because they have to score on this drive and they don't have time. That's where I think the other team starts worrying, like, they're going to be able to let those guys loose.
To be able to get pressure with the front four is so massive because the rest of the guys are in coverage. You make life so much harder. Now we got to wait on the Bosa thing, but we will see. Lettuce49 says game might have been boring early, but it got great late. It did. I was thinking about Bryce Huff. He's actually been better against the run than I thought too. Like, they've had to use him in spots and he's been okay. And at one point it was Bryce Huff and Yetur Gross-Matos on the outside for the Niners today. So he may have more of a role than we think. He also, as somebody pointed out, had a sack on the last play of the first half. I said he could get to 12, Levin. He's got 2 so far through 3 games. Are you nervous yet?
Nervous? Why would I care? Like, if he gets 12, good. I don't think he'll get there, but I guess maybe possibly. But no, if he gets there, I'll be like, hey, yeah, you're right. I don't care because we had a guy get 12 sacks and his name is not Bosa.
I think you just should worry about it because I'll never let you hear the end of it if I'm ultimately correct.
Oh, I'm so worried.
You should be.
My 1 hour a week I have to talk to you will be ruined.
I will text you. I will be unbearable, okay? Lauren says, if Bosa misses significant time, Huff reaches 12 easily. I would think Bosa's presence would make it easier for Bryce Huff to get sacks because he's going to get less attention.
Yeah, well, he can go straight up the field and not care. He can just speed rush.
Right. Well, it's really he doesn't really have a bull rush.
No, but I mean, there's certain, you got to worry about contain sometimes and stuff like that. But if Bosa's out there, like, you're taking Huff and saying, just go. You're giving him the D Ford role. Just go.
David Lombardi has an interesting tweet that I'm just reading. He said, common theme from a lot of the Niners guys I talked to here in the locker room. That's a game the team would have lost last season, and that's been a locker room theme in each of the first 3 games. Not ridiculous to say the Niners offseason roster work turned 0-3 into 3-0. That, you know what that tells me? They're starting to believe it, Levin.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of it, obviously. In any close game situation, I'm sure last year they thought, oh, crap, here we go again. To be able to break that mindset is massive. And it's hopeful. I mean, we have no reason to doubt what David is saying. That's huge.
Yeah, and they're doing this while not being anywhere close to healthy. I mean, they're down a starting quarterback. They're down a starting wide receiver. They're down their number 3 wide receiver. They're down their number 4 wide receiver. They're down their starting all-pro tight end as well. All of that's just offense. And yet they're still 3-0. So, and they've had a drive to win the game in each game. It's not like, ooh, we scored 13 points and hung on because the defense didn't allow anything. No, they had to make a fourth quarter drive in each of the games in order to get the lead. So it's encouraging. And like I said, at this point, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, Robinson is back next week. You would think Jennings is back next week. The week after that is you could technically have Ayuk back. I don't think he will be because it's a short week. But then the week after that, you get most likely Kittle. We haven't heard the update that Kittle will definitely be back after 4 weeks.
True.
Potentially not. But I think it's likely he is. So you would get Kittle and Ayuk back the next week. So you really have 2 games to go. And you could be sitting here with all of your weapons potentially. I mean, other things can happen between now and then.
Dale, thanks for the super chat, asks, is Christian McCaffrey cooked? I don't think so. I know that
Not cooked. He doesn't have the breakaway speed.
I don't think he ever really had breakaway speed with the Niners. I honestly, when I watch him, to me, he's doing the best he can with the blocking he's gotten. I've not seen a lot of plays where it's like, boy, Christian McCaffrey in the past really would have got more yards out of this. He's bouncing off guys. He's twisting and turning his body. I don't think he's cooked by any stretch of the imagination. And by the way, if this is Christian McCaffrey cooked, he's at over 100 yards from scrimmage every game this year. So are we that worried?
No, he is certainly not cooked, but you can tell he's not in his prime anymore either. There is like a half step lost there.
Is that really a surprise at this point? He's 29.
No, he went from the best running back in the NFL to one of the better ones. You know what I mean? Like, he's not quite in the conversation of best back in the NFL anymore, in my opinion, but he's in that next group. You know what I mean? You got the, Bijan Robinsons, the Saquon Barkleys, those guys. And then after the top, I would say 3 or 4 guys, Christian McCaffrey comes into the conversation. Whereas 2 years ago, it was Christian McCaffrey and everybody else.
A lot can happen in 2 years. Neil says, speaking of the James Conner injury, you rarely see both teams crowd around the guy before he gets carted off. Yeah. It reminded me of the Trey Lance. When Trey Lance hurt his ankle, that was the same thing where everybody was on the field. The cart was in the middle of the field. It was so bad that you could hear the crowd at Levi's gasp when they showed the replay in the stadium. You could hear it on the TV broadcast because right before they went to commercial, the crowd went, oh, and it was odd. If you rewatch the broadcast, you'll hear it. That's when I was like, that is an injury I will not watch again.
I mean, I rewound it on a commercial break, but I thought I saw him get twisted up, and I thought what happened was his leg stuck in the dirt, and I thought he had somebody on top of him to where like only half his shin was exposed, so his knee couldn't take the bend. I thought he snapped his shin bone. I thought his fibula snapped. And when watching a replay, that's not he was able to bend at the knee. The problem is his leg was stuck in the dirt, and he had 2 guys' body weight on him while he was trying to twist, and he couldn't. So I would say it's either his ankle or his knee took all of that extra weight twisting, and one of those 2 things probably broke.
That is not ideal.
It wasn't. I looked at it and was like, all right, that's not as bad as I thought, thankfully. Like, I was like, oh, man, that guy just snapped his shin bone.
You could tell it was bad because he dropped the ball. Now, he was down, but when guys drop the ball, that's how
you know it's painful.
Yeah. Exactly. How about this post game? photo. Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams went to the podium at the same time. And I don't know what the context is because it's just a still photo, but Trent Williams is looking at Christian McCaffrey the way I wish my wife would look at me sometimes. That's the perfect way to describe it. Look at him.
She might have looked at you that way 10 years ago.
Right. He's got the wide eyes and a huge smile. Like Christian McCaffrey is looking right back at him dead in the eye. Like, it's fantastic.
That's the look of a team that goes, we got away with one, and we haven't gotten away with one in years.
They aren't playing close to their best football right now.
Yeah,
they're going to be better on defense by the end of the year. I mean, the offense, like somebody pointed out earlier, they did put up 355 total yards in the game, but we have seen them just function better and look better throughout the course of a game. They are nowhere near that right now with a backup quarterback, a bunch of subs at wide receiver. So to be 3-0 and to also say you haven't played your best ball is a damn good place to be.
What do you think, or do you think other teams, especially in the NFC West, are looking going, oh crap? Because they're looking and saying they're 3-0, yet they're playing multiple games with a backup quarterback. Kittle got hurt early, and they've gone basically multiple games without him. And Ayuk hasn't even come back yet. Like, I feel like if I'm the other teams, and especially in the division, I'm going, how are they 3-0? This is going to be a problem with their schedule and with them getting potentially full strength back. Like, they've been playing with backups. What happens when they get full strength and that schedule's so easy? Like, if I'm the Eagles, I'm going, God, we're going to have to win 14 games to get the number 1 seed because that team can win with backups. And when they get to be full strength, their schedule's so easy, they're going to be winning, 13 plus games.
That's what I would look at. I would look at, crap. They're not, they fixed some of their issues from last year. By the way, Christopher Johnson says super chats are not going through. That's frustrating.
I'll send you my personal Venmo.
Well, leave your comment anyway, though, Christopher. Yeah. We'll try and answer it because we love super chats, obviously, but of course, like we want you to be able to comment. I was gonna have another. Oh, my other thought was, talking about the running game. George Kittle being out is massively affecting the running game as well. Like we don't think about that, but that's another benefit of George coming back is that the run blocking is going to improve. So. Again, there's a lot to look forward to. The Bosa injury is the cloud hanging over the team right now. If he has a major injury, which is still on the table, then, that would obviously completely change the outlook for the 49ers for the rest of the year. We don't know right now. So until we know for sure, I'm not going to spend that much time worrying about it. I want to be happy and celebrate on a Sunday night because that's the biggest thing. Other than that, they got the win. I didn't hear about any other major injuries, so hopefully that's good. And we go from there. Quarter of the season almost down, and 3 of those games have been wins.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3-0 is 3-0. Like, if you told me, hey, you're going to be 3-0, and there's one injury you don't know about, but so far there's been no season-ending injuries to key players, I would have been like, oh, sign me up. Like, that is best-case scenario. That's where the Niners are right now. They're in best case scenario for the start of the season. They're able to be 3-0 despite missing a lot of their key guys, especially on offense. But all of those guys are due to be back soon.
Careless Whispers of Kyle's Playbook says this is the worst 3-0 team of all time. They get smoked by real legit playoff teams. Nobody's shaking in their boots. Saleh is the X factor, 3-0 because of Saleh. You know what you call the worst 3-0 team of all time, Levin?
An undefeated team?
Undefeated. What do you call the guy that graduates last from his class in medical school?
Doctor. Yeah, that's true. I agree with everything he said, except for they get smoked by a real legit playoff team. I mean, the team that they had today, yeah, but that's because they have a backup quarterback and a bunch of backup receiving options, essentially, other than Pearsall. So, yeah, but once they get healthy, like I don't disagree that on paper they look like a bad 3-0 team because they haven't looked good, but they've been able to win each game. Nobody is shaking in their boots. That goes a little bit far for my liking, but I can see the thing. Like I said, they haven't looked good. They don't look like a dominant team. They're not as scary as I would say the Eagles are. right now. Right, but Saleh is 100% the X factor, and they are 3-0 because of Saleh. The defense has been carrying them.
Great, but like it's not Saleh versus Shanahan. They're on the same team. We don't have to pit them against one another. Johnny Venerable covers the Cardinals for the PHNX podcast. One of the guys I respect that covers Arizona. He said the Cardinals won the turnover battle, won time of possession, and scored on defense, and still lost the game. Yeah. Again, these are reasons to be happy if you're the 49ers. It's not you can want them to improve and acknowledge that they need to improve in multiple areas, which I think we all do, but also celebrate the fact that they are still undefeated. Both things can be true.
Right. I mean, things could be much worse. For instance, I'll give you an example from today. The Tennessee Titans today, I don't know if you know this sequence. You probably don't because it's the Titans. Who pays attention to them? But my brother told me about it because he's a Titans fan. They had like I think it was a 4th and 2. They were trying to decide whether or not to go for it. Their opponent called a timeout. Then coming off of the timeout, the Titans still couldn't decide, so the Titans called a timeout. Then coming back into it, they still couldn't decide whether to go for it. By the time they decided, they ran the kicker out there and got a delay of game because they couldn't get it snapped in time.
Jeez,
that would be much, much, much worse.
By the way, I was just looking at the final. That's ugly. The final numbers. The Niners had 24 plays in the first half. They finished with 62 plays in the game. Yeah. Arizona finished with 64 plays in the game. So even though the Cardinals owned the ball for the entire first quarter, that evened out in a huge way in the second half.
Yeah, I mean, the Niners, when they had the ball there with about a minute to go in the first half, they showed the time of possession. I think it was 22 minutes and 10 seconds to 7 minutes and 10 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the Cardinals had the ball for 22 and a half minutes in the first half because they had the final 16 seconds as well. Like,
right.
That is massive. And then it essentially evened out in the second half. Like, that means the Niners dominated in the exact amount that the Cardinals dominated in the first half, which is huge because you don't want that defense getting tired.
Right. That's what I was worried about the entire game. Ulrich says all that matters is the Niners get to the playoffs. The regular season is what it is. I completely agree. Get to the playoffs and the season begins again. And shame on us. JDP916 says they need Mustafa bad. We didn't even mention Malik Mustafa and the guys that could return. He's going to be another guy that's going to be.
Well, I didn't talk about the defense. I was mostly talking about the offense because that's been the problem. Like the defense, it's hard to imagine the defense playing better than what they have. The offense can improve a lot.
Let's just have you sit in your wrongness and be wrong. You didn't mention Malik Mustafa.
For legitimate reasons, but sure, yeah.
So you're saying you were wrong, but it was okay.
Yeah, because I wasn't concentrating on that side of the ball. They're playing lights out. Why would I? Like people coming back on that side of the ball, cool. But they're playing lights out, so I don't imagine them getting better with people returning. It's just more likely that they can keep it up with the people returning.
By the way, I mentioned Johnny Venerable. He just had another tweet. The Cardinals offense has played the Saints, Panthers, and 49ers, and they are averaging 17.6 points per game through 3 games.
It's almost like Kyler Murray, ain't it?
Not ideal. But here we go. 3 victories, 3 NFC victories, 2 wins in the NFC West. And as of September 21st, your San Francisco 49ers are leading the division. And that is something we should all celebrate right now. And we can worry about Nick Bosa when he has his MRI. I think he was going to have tests later tonight or possibly tomorrow. You know what? If the tests come back tonight, I may be back live later tonight. We'll wait and see.
Yeah. I was going to say, when's the last time the Niners started a season 3-0 with all 3 wins being by 1 possession or less?
Oh, man.
Like that's not common. So I would imagine that it's been quite some time since that's happened. So that's something I might have to go digging through later this week, and maybe I'll have an answer on Wednesday.
That sounds like a question for Josh Dubow. He's pretty good at that. You asked that as if I would have that knowledge off the top of my head.
No. I'm just meaning like that's a thought I just had was like they've won all 3 games by a single score where it came down to the wire. When's the last time they were 3-0 and each game was decided by 5 or less points? Like that's a question for what you should have said, Michelle.
well, she would do it too, but Josh is like known. He comes up with all sorts of crazy stuff. But yeah, hopefully we don't have to wait till Friday. Maybe I'll text Michelle tonight and see if she has it. Alejandro says no love for Kyle Juszczyk. He had a touchdown catch in this game. Glad to see Kyle Juszczyk out there. You know, I mentioned this. Everyone knows how I feel about Kyle Juszczyk, but I certainly don't want to see him injured. I certainly don't want to see him with a brain injury. So the fact that he was well enough to get back out there was awesome to see. He caught the touchdown. That is exactly the type of play, and that is when Kyle Juszczyk should get a target. In that situation, that's how to use him. He's not going to be the first or second concern for defenses in the red zone. Good job, Kyle Shanahan. Made it easy. An easy play for your backup quarterback in the red zone. So, yes, hooray.
Yeah, I was meaning to say at some point in the show that they're 3-0 despite Christian McCaffrey struggling to find the end zone. Like, it's not just the guys that are gone. It's that the guys that are here that have carried them in the past. While McCaffrey's getting his yards, he's not able to get in the end zone. Like 2 years ago, he would have scored on those. He's had multiple chances now, or multiple drives, I should say. Some of them he's had multiple chances on the same drive on the goal line, and he hasn't been able to punch it in. Like 2 years ago, he was scoring every single one of those pretty much first try.
Yep.
So if they can get that going again, like that's just another reason why this team is 3-0, yet they have such a large amount of improvement that they could make.
There are way more reasons to be excited about this 49ers team than down about the team. The Bosa one is big, obviously, but still, there are way more reasons to be excited. And whatever happens, we are going to be here with you, celebrating together, commiserating together, all of that stuff. Thank you so much, everybody. There's 2,000 people watching the show right now. Like the Gold Standard 49ers Podcast Network. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your audio podcast. We're live after every game. We're live every weekday. We do a 5-minute news update on the audio only side. Please, please, please give us a chance this season. And I promise you, you will come back for more. And oh God, David T, this is an especially pertinent comment, says, if a person has heart problems and are a 49er fan, they need a box full of medicine every Sunday. I'm a person with heart problems, and I can tell you, this team ain't doing me any favors.
And if you're a Jaguars fan, you're just dead already.
I don't know why you threw a gratuitous shot in the Jags at there, but I support it. So good.
I mean, I did watch some of that game. I watched CJ Stroud and Trevor Lawrence both show that they're not franchise quarterbacks.
They still stink, but we'll see you next week. That's future Rob's problem. Levin, everybody, enjoy the rest of your night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.